l'a fait pour moi. Je n'ai plus rien à craindre.
My name is Revoir. Les week-ends à Bakechi sont très intéressants.
Did you know that French is opening great doors of opportunities for Ghanaians, but you are missing out because you still hate French? All right, and so this is why we have Enfrenched, My Journey with French, interviews with people who are making progress, who are making impact with the French language. Today, I am super honored to have with me here Monsieur Michael Akainyah. I know him as Kamisuka. Yeah, so we met on a French platform. We have the France Alumni Ghana, and that is how we met. We were rapping on the page, and so we connected, and I said, hey, you gotta come on my show. So if you're new here, my name is Madame Wilhemina Darkwah. I'm the host of this show, and this very channel, Enfrenched, will be Enfrenched. France won't be Enfrenched. If you're a French learner and you have not yet followed this page, you are missing out. Please make sure stay subscribed and then check out all the videos that we have here. Okay, so I usually don't want to be the one doing the introduction of my guests because usually people who are French, their profile is so long that I may miss out something. So I'm going to first of all welcome him and let him do the introduction. Bonjour, monsieur.
Oui, bonjour, madame.
Bienvenue.
Merci, vous allez bien?
Ah oui, je vais bien, merci. Est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter?
Oui, donc merci. Je suis très content d'être parmi vous. Pour commencer, je m'appelle Monsieur Akainyah Michael. Je suis un professeur d'anglais en France. Actuellement, je suis à Paris. Donc, c'est ici que je travaille en tant que professeur d'anglais dans une école primaire. J'ai 29 ans, si vous voulez. Et je suis Ghanéen. Je suis Ghanéen. Je viens de la région de l'Ouest. Voilà, précisément Takoradi. C'est là où j'habite. Ouais, donc je suis de Takoradi aussi. Ouais, bon. Donc voilà.
Okay, please say that in English for me. Like, I am the ambassador for Takrady. I'm the French ambassador.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So my name is
please say it in English.
okay. So my name is Michael Akainyah, and then I'm 29 years of age. I am an English teacher here, and actually I'm in Paris, France. This is where I teach, as a primary school teacher. But I'm a Ghanaian, and I'm from the western region of Ghana, precisely Takoradi.
All right, so thank you once again so much. Just hearing that you're from Takrady excites me because I am in Takrady and I'm doing so much to promote the French language here. People don't know about Takrady, like all that they know is uncles, like December. Takrady is more than that, right? So I'm trying to sell Takrady, so I'm happy that I have somebody from Takrady who's now living in Paris coming on my show. Yeah. All right, so straight to our questions. Est-ce que la langue française vous a aidé dans votre parcours professionnel?
Est-ce que je peux parler de ma profession, c'est ça? J'ai pas...
Votre parcours, après ça, on va parler de votre profession.
Ah oui.
L'importance de la langue française dans votre vie. Est-ce que la langue française vous a aidé? Has the French language helped you? Or let me say generally, has it helped you?
D'accord. Ça sera en français, c'est ça?
Oui, un peu en français et
En
puis
français, un peu en
anglais,
anglais.
mais
D'accord.
plutôt en anglais parce que les spectateurs, ils sont anglophones. Ouais.
D'accord. D'accord. Donc, alors, je vais commencer par mon parcours professionnel. J'ai été formé au Ghana dans une école normale, College of Education, en tant que professeur de français. Donc, j'étais censé enseigner le français au Ghana. Mais quand j'avais terminé mes études, quand j'ai terminé mes études, je me sentais un petit peu, je vais dire, j'avais pas de confiance, voilà, dans la langue française. Donc, j'ai eu l'opportunité de venir en France pour enseigner en tant qu'assistant de langue, en tant qu'assistant de langue. Donc, l'assistant de langue, c'était pour 7 mois. Mais à la fin du programme, c'est là où j'étais recruté par l'éducation nationale de la France en tant que professeur en temps plein. Ça veut dire maintenant, je ne suis plus assistant de langue, mais je serai un professeur dans une classe. Donc, c'est ce que j'ai fait depuis 2021 jusqu'à présent. Donc, ça fait 5 ans. Plus assistant de langue, ça fait 6 ans dans l'enseignement en France.
Wow. Oh, please tell us. They want to hear what I'm excited about.
Yeah. So I graduated from Enfrenched College of Education as a French teacher. When I attended College of Education, I studied French. So I was supposed to teach French in Ghana. But when I completed College of Education, I lacked some sort of confidence in being in the classroom and teaching French. You know, even though I could teach French, but I wanted more. I wanted more of the language. So I had this opportunity to come to France as a language assistant. I think in our time, I was the only person selected, you know, from my school. Yeah, so it was such a great opportunity for me. And then when I came to France, after 7 months of being a language assistant, assisting a French teacher in the school to teach English, rather, I was then recruited by the French government or the French education ministry as a full-time teacher. And then that is what I've done for the past 5 years, including the assistant de langue, making it 6 years in teaching in France.
This is amazing.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I'm gonna.
Et maintenant, peut-être je peux avancer sur la langue française, comment ça m'a beaucoup aidé.
Oui.
Je vous raconte une histoire, mais cette histoire, peut-être je vais raconter en anglais.
En anglais, on veut en anglais.
I'll say this story in English. If you see me speaking French flowing right now, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. But then it always starts from somewhere to somewhere. You just have to be determined. You know, I do this often whenever I go to Ghana. I spend time myself. I go to schools, secondary schools, to talk to the French students, those who are studying French, that hey, you don't know what you have. You don't know what you are going to become by making the decision to study French here from the SHS. You've done yourself so much good that you don't know. But later you will grow to understand, because this is where I started, and then this is where I am right now. So I'm saying this because when I completed SHS, even at the SHS, I studied French at the GHS. Then when I went to the SHS, I'm like, okay, let me continue with the French. But when I completed SHS and then I had to go to the teachers training college, I applied for a different course. I applied to be a general teacher. So I would teach science, maths, and all that. But then the college had seen French on my certificate, on my WASI certificate. So they are like, no, but you studied French. And then we need French students. So because the college had now become a center of learning, you know, languages. So they wanted French students. And then they said, you have French. So it's either you do the French or we are not admitting you. Then, poor me, oh, ignorant me, I cried. I cried. I'm like, no, 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 no. So if I have to study French, doesn't mean the teachers are going to teach everything in French. I've never been to any Ivorian country or any French speaking country before. And then now I'm going to be in the class. And then so I knew that I was going to fail. And then I'm someone who really wants to win, really wants to, you know, réussir mes examens. So I was not happy with the decision. Then my uncle was like, but your friends are doing French. You don't have to be like some people are here doing French. You don't have, even you studied it, at the secondary school level. So you have some basic knowledge. So come. And then I went. And then the first year of teachers training college, they were like, hey, the government wants to take all French speaking students or all students who are learning French to Togo. And then in Togo, you're going to be in a university for 3 weeks. You'll be fed morning, afternoon, evening. You receive 50,000 CFA, to keep just because you're learning French. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. I like this. I like this French. Okay. It will be sweet. So that was the beginning of me falling in love with the French language. And then we went to Togo. The lessons were taught in French. Everything was in French. And then I saw myself building this confidence in the language, speaking, trying sentences and all. And then that was how it all started. I graduated as the second best French student in my school, starting from someone who was panicking and then now graduating as the second best French student. We had the first and then I was the second. And then the funny thing is we had people in my class who were French. You see what I'm talking about? Who were French, but I emerged as second. It was because I was so determined. Later I'm like, no, I can do this. So this is how it all started. And then now being in France, when I completed teachers training college and I had the opportunity to be on the assistant de langue program, my visa, my plane tickets in and out, it was not even a cheap flight. It was KLM. All this was paid by the French embassy. So it's like, because you learned French, everything is free. Free visa, free plane tickets in and out, aller-retour. And then I came to France, and then being here in France, I got the opportunity to learn the French more. Maybe later during the interview, we will talk about how the things I put in place to learn French. That if you see me flowing right now in French, it started from somewhere. It started where I couldn't even put two sentences together. So that is the story I wanted to give all of you.
I'm enjoying it. We are going to continue in English. Otherwise, we do the French and English. It's going to take time. So, yeah. So the next question I was going to ask you was how you learned the French. So maybe, you can continue with the systems you put in place to help your fluency. You want to do that?
Okay. So now, how I learned the French, I will still go back to school. That was where it all started again. In school, we had this, our teachers really helped us. They had, let me call it a lab. We called it a French lab, just like we have an ICT lab. And then in the lab, we had this television that, like every afternoon, our teachers would say, go and watch the news and then write whatever you hear, write it down. So we're going to sit down and then we'll be watching France 24. France 24 is a television station. It's like GTV or Atom TV or GH1, and then they report news. So we'll be there and then we'll be listening and then we'll hear something about war, and then sometimes you hear them speak so many sentences and then the only thing you can write down is word. You see, we did something new. We learned a new word. There are so many words that I can remember exactly when I learned them, when I heard them on the television. You see, so that was the first part, watching the news. Then now, when it comes to me traveling to France, being here in the country, or even Togo also, the fact that I was in a country where the only language I could hear was French, it was something that really helped me because I had no choice. I had no option. The only option that I had was to use my brain to try to interpret what the person was saying by looking at their gesture, their intonation, to understand what they are trying to tell me, and interpret it myself. And by doing that, I learned how to also say certain things. Sometimes I'll make sentences that were not complete, being in the market of Togo, trying to buy certain things. I'll make some incomplete sentences, but they understood me. And that was because I have put myself in a situation where I couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Chi. The only language I could speak was French because I was in a French-speaking country. So I think one of the things that we can do is to, if we have Ghana, we are so blessed that we are surrounded by, French-speaking countries. So if you have a relative in Burkina Faso, a relative in Togo, a relative in Cote d'Ivoire, and if you are really determined to speak the French, to spend some of your vacation in those countries, like it could be 1 week, and then that 1 week you learn so many things because you get to speak only French, hear only French. That was also one of the things that really helped me. And then being in France, that was when I realized that even all the French that I had learned was still not enough for me because because it's just like when you speak English and then you travel to the UK and then you speak English and then you're like, huh? It means, but I just spoke English. And then, so that is how it is like. So when I go here, I'm like, okay, I still have to learn the French. I still have to learn more. So now these are the things that I put in place when I got to France. Number one, I use the radio. Every morning I'll listen to the radio. Every morning. Sometimes it doesn't make sense what they're saying. I can't relate to what they're saying, but I can hear some words that I can relate to. I can keep some words. Then two, I decided to read books that are very funny, comic books. So I had this book called Petit Nicolas. And I liked the small boy in the book, how he lived his life, and then when I was reading it, I could only motivate myself to read because it was entertaining. So something like a book that you really like, a book that will make you laugh, a book that will make you search for new words. There's this sentence, and then I'm saying it because I picked it directly from the book, and then till date it's still in my head. The sentence was, "Ça fait pas si longtemps." It was Petit Nicolas who was saying that. Oh, it's not been too long since I came, back from school. Ça fait pas si longtemps que je suis arrivé à la maison. So that's "ça fait pas si longtemps." When I read it, I'm like, "Ça fait pas si longtemps." What does it mean? So I went to ask my landlady, and then she said, it means, but ça fait pas si longtemps. He just came back. So it's not been so long. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how we say it's not been so long. And till now, it's been 5 years. Till now, I still remember the sentence, ça fait pas si longtemps. And then I read it from that book. Another thing, apart from books, is I decided to watch a movie that I've watched in English. It could be series, or it could be a series. It could be let me say a normal movie. But then something that I've watched before, what exactly they said at this point. Then now I will watch that same movie again, but this time around in English. So if you take your Netflix, if you take your your computer or your television and you have to watch Netflix has this function where you can put the language in French, as in the language in French, and then the subtitles in English or French. Now, what I was doing was, I've watched the movie in English before. So now, I put the sound or the language they are speaking in French. Then the subtitles in French. So when they say it and then they say it too fast that I cannot hear, I read. That way I'm able to relate, and then I know what they said in the English version that I watched. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it means. Okay, so there was this sentence that I also learned from the movies 5 years ago. It was, "Je te le promets." At that point, the guy had to promise her sister, that he would come back. So it was like, "I promise you." That was the English version. But when I was watching it in the French version, I was like, okay, how would he say it in English? So when he got there, he said, "Je te le promets." And then I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how it is said, So watching movies in French is also something that really helps. Then the last thing that I did was to just speak. I decided to speak the French. So my phone, right now, if you take my phone, all the settings are in English. I have used the phone for years. So I know what this means in English, what that means in English. So now I put it in French, then I can easily learn something new every day. And then by speaking, as I said, when I meet people who can speak better, one major mistake that I think French speakers do is when we think that, oh, well, I am not too good at French, or I'll make some mistake when I speak, or they'll laugh at me. You see, but that is how language is done. When you are born as a kid, you will say something in your own language. If it is chi, you say something, and then your parents will correct you that we don't, that's not how it is said. But unless you say it, that's the only way to replace the wrong with the right word, the wrong word with the right word, or the wrong sentence with the right sentence. So you say something, your parents will say, no, you can't say. In English, you say something in English, and they'll be like, no, it's not said like that. And the same thing is with the French. We don't wait till we can speak 100% correct grammar before we speak French. Up till now, I still make mistakes with la and le. Something I'll say la, and then my colleagues will say, no, le, it's a masculin. So till now, even with my level, I'm still learning the French. So you have to speak. You speak. Sometimes I do franglais. I will say something when the word is not coming. I'll just chip in English, and then they'll correct it for me in French. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how it is said in French. You see, so we have to speak with people who understand French, even with your colleagues that you are also learning the French with. You can speak French with them. There's something that you may not know how to say in French, but they may know how to say that in French. And then there may be something that they may also not know, but you may also know. So we learn from each other, and we learn by speaking and making mistakes and then getting corrected. I think these are the things that I put together to learn the French.
You've exhausted everything that has to be said.
Oh, thank you.
So viewers, you should have learned a lot from this. I want to point out a few things. I think that you meant that you put your phone the sentence in French. You said English, so I think you meant that you've made it to French. The problem I have with that one was that when I was in France, I bought a camera and go to Ghana, and the camera was in French, and my brother handled the camera. He pressed supprimer, and deleted every picture I captured. So, although that advice is good, I don't tell people that because of
Hold on. I think your brother, do you think the next time he sees supprimer, he will press on it? So right now he understands what it means. Sometimes the cost is costly. But right now, next time when he sees that word supprimer, this word means erase, or it means format. No, I wouldn't go there. So I think he also learned something.
what you said about the speaking, people being afraid it is the number one thing. So yes, I'm happy that you've highlighted on that, and also making examples with our own languages, right? If you don't make the mistakes, you will not learn it. You have to let it come out so that people will know that, oh, it's wrong, then they will correct you. Once that correction, I learned a lot more from corrections than even the books themselves. Okay, so if you're always afraid to make the mistakes, and because of that you don't speak, you'll be in trouble. Because as he has said, even those of us who are considered fluent, and I think that every guest who has come here has said the same thing. Even those of us who have had opportunities with the French, and we are making use of it on a regular basis, we still make the mistakes. So if even we, after all these years, are making the mistakes, what makes you think that you cannot give it a try? Come and join the mistake train. It's through the mistakes that we say it correctly. C'est en forgeant qu'on devient forgeron. Practice makes perfect. Okay, so we have to do that. All right, and then I was going to point out something, but I think that one also swerved me. I should have written it down. I was just so enjoying what you were saying that I didn't. Yeah, I think I also like the fact that when you talked about the movie thing, you mentioned that you changed the voice to French and the subtitles also to French. The mistake that people make is that when they choose the subtitles, like the thing is, when you put the subtitles in English, if you put the subtitles in English, you will not listen to the French. You will read the English. So if you're going French, just go in full French. You will get used to it. As he has said, he watched news, he listened to radio. You will not understand it from the start. But as you keep on listening to it, your ears, as I keep saying, we have experienced it. We were not born into French. We were born into English or our local languages, and we also learned it. So when I tell you that from the start, it's stressful. It's something that I experience as well. You feel so frustrated, sad that you don't understand. But with time, let's say within a week, sometimes it's just a week, within a week, you realize that you're able to pick out some of the sounds, you're able to understand some words here and there, and then you're okay. And when you mentioned Franz Van Kath, I was like, hey, your teachers were wicked though. The Franz Van Kath, just the fact that it's just news. I don't even like it. I would have preferred TV Saint-Common because TV Saint-Common has a melange, it's a mix of you can shift from here to there. Franz Van Kath news on kwa, you know, cast again. What news, what am I doing with? It's all part of the journey. We have to stress ourselves a bit just so that we'll be able to pick the fluency. That is also very, very important. So thank you for sharing those tips with us. All right. So the learning of French, it is not easy, but it takes a lot of effort. And when you put in those efforts, you're going to get the results that. Okay. So now moving on to the professional aspect.
Okay.
When I met you, I got to know that you're kind of secret and then you're a rapper. Please tell me exactly. And then the other thing too that that drew me to you was when you said that you guys organize a pickup for Ghanaians who come to France and all of that. I was like, wow, I wish that happened during my time because when I went to France, I got lost though because I got lost and they accommodated me for 2 days. And when I finally it took my Ghanaian passport to save me. I was taken to the wrong hostel. Then sorry, as I lifted my passport, and they were going through, they couldn't find my name even in that, but the thing showed that I had paid. I had a receipt showing that I had paid. So one guy saw my Ghanaian passport and was like, are you the other Ghanaian girl? I said, yes. Oh, I know where your friends are. So after let's go there. And that's how I was saved. It took God to bring that guy there. My Ghana card, my Ghana passport saved me. You people who don't want to have your Ghana cards and Ghana. When he finally took me to where the Ghanaian girls were, Chalena commanded me 2 days. I sat on the floor. Fortunately, the girls had some sawachi be prepared. I'm a dear, I'm just goose. When I'm a snap for I'm a D. Like, so you guys are doing us a favor, papa. So please tell us. I think I also want to know the teaching assistant. Is it the TAPIF or you had a different thing altogether?
Yeah, so this is a different thing. TAPIF is language assistant. It's for 7 months, and then it's for 12 hours per week. It means you can go to you can do 2 days. So here when we go to school, we do like 6 hours of teaching. So if you're doing 12 hours per week, if you're doing TAPIF, you can do it in 2 days. You can do Monday, Tuesday, and then you are done. You are not allowed legally to work again, because you're an assistant. But you can also break it down. Instead of doing 6 hours in just 2 days, you can do 3 hours per day, so that, since we school here 4 days per week, you can break it down 3, 3, 3, and 3. Yeah. In France, we don't go to school on Wednesdays. Well, some of the, it depends. Later, I can explain that. But then majority of the schools, we don't go to school on Wednesdays. Yeah. So that is it. But then what I'm doing is called, on appelle ça Emile.
Actually, not what you're doing now. We'll count what you're doing now. The one
Okay.
you said you became a teaching assistant first.
Mm-hmm.
The one that took you from Ghana to France the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? That was also the Emile.
No, that was TAPIF.
Oh, okay, that was okay. Okay, that's what.
Do you want me to explain?
No, we've done TAPIF, so viewers, please go and check the videos that we've done. Actually, we've done 3 videos on the TAPIF. So today we'll
Okay.
the other aspects as well. But I just wanted to know, like when you said it, I wanted to know if it was the TAPIF or there was another one, so that at least my viewers will know there's another one.
Oh, okay. The one that brought me to France was the TAPIF. It was the TAPIF, yes.
So now let's move on to what you are doing now, about everything that you're doing now with the French and English. Want to know.
D'accord. Alors, everything that I'm doing with the French. Well, when I came after the TAPIF, I was hired into this program of teaching called CLIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, or in French we say EMILE. That's EMILE. EMILE, enseignement de matière intégrée en langue étrangère, Content and Language Integrated Learning, CLIL. So it means that this time around, I'm a teacher, but not an English teacher. Content and language integrated. So content and then a language. So the contents are the subjects that we learn: math, science, geography, geometry, arts, music. These are the contents. And then language. The language here is a different language, not French, English. So the kids are learning math, science, math, science, geography, geometry, arts, music in English. You see, so they are learning two things at the same time. It's integrated. So it's just like if I have to bring it to the Ghanaian system, it's just like Ghana, we learn in English. We learn science in English. We learn maths in English. The teachers use English to teach math, science, RME, social, and all that. But imagine this time around, you'll be in the classroom, but then the teacher will be teaching science in French. The teacher will be speaking French, will be using French, and the students, everything that you are learning, instead of saying the plants, you say la plante. The teacher is teaching this science topic in French. That is what I'm doing here. Here, the kids speak English, they speak French. So I rather teach all these subjects in English. So, it comes with a lot of preparations. We have so much fun. If not, it will be very stressful because number one, the language is a barrier for them. And then number two, they also have to make effort to learn the contents that's in the subject. So now imagine how some people find maths very difficult. And then now they are teaching it in a different language that you don't understand. You see, so it has to come with so much fun that, involves games, involves dialogues, involves group works, project works, and all that. And then as we do that, the kids, they learn, they have fun, they say something in English, and then they work together. So that is what I've been doing for the past 5 years. Aside this teaching, and then with this, you have to be a French speaker because you don't speak French in the classroom, but then just to understand the difficulty of the kids, because they can't express themselves very well in English, some of the things they may say in French. So it is because I studied French. That is why I had the opportunity to do this work. Aside this, I've also had the opportunity to work with a hotel as a receptionist. I didn't study anything around hospitality and tourism, but then I had the opportunity to be a receptionist for a very big hotel here in France because I was bilingual, because I could speak French, I could speak English, and then I'm learning some Spanish. Okay, that's after you've learned the French to a certain level. Yeah, so when I put my CV down, I saw the job and I'm like, and then I'm someone who apply, like if I see an opportunity, I don't want to wait till someone tells me, hey, you are qualified or you are not qualified. Once I feel I can do it, if I have the qualification, if I don't have, once I'm motivated, I apply for it. So I saw this, I'm like, well, I didn't do anything around hotels and all, but let me apply for it. I can do it. So I applied for it as a receptionist. And then when they saw my CV, they saw that, oh, you can speak English, you can speak French. Oh, okay. And then you are learning some Spanish. Okay. Then they had an interview and then they asked me some questions. And then the moment they saw that I could express myself in French and English, then they're like, hey, you have the job. So I was teaching. And then in the evening, I was doing a side job as a hotel receptionist, all because of French. And then I made some money. I made some real money. So that is also another thing. Aside that, I've also had the opportunity to work with Ghana Embassy in France. The Ghanaian Embassy in France, Ghana is an English-speaking country, and now they find themselves in a French-speaking country. So you understand that there will be the need for someone who can be a link between the French and then the English, France and Ghana. So I remember there is this program called Salon du Chocolat, where all chocolates, brands around the world, different countries, they bring their chocolates to France, and then they do this exhibition, they show. So we have Ghana stand, we have Nigeria stand, we have Togo stand, we have Switzerland stand. They all show what they use the cocoa bean for. So I had the opportunity to be called by the Ghana embassy here that, hey, we have this program coming, and then we have people from Ghana exports, something, and then they are coming to France, and then It is to exhibit, the cocoa and all, the chocolates that we have in Ghana. But then, they are English speakers, so we need someone who can engage the buyers in French, an opportunity. And then you will be paid, this amount per day. You see, it was like a fast job. I can't even think, well, it wasn't a normal job. So we're like, yeah, we are going to pay you like 100 euros per day. And then that 100 euros is like, let me say, 1,000 and plus Ghana cedis. Let me say right now, 1,300. Imagine making 1,000 Ghana cedis a day for just 5 days because you can speak French. So each day I was making like 1,300 Ghana cedis. And then what did I have to do? I just had to explain to someone that, hello, this is chocolate. It is made from cocoa bean. And then I had to say that in French. And the thing is, the people who came to sell the chocolates, they couldn't speak French. And I have the opportunity to speak both languages. So I was there just explaining, this is made from this. We even had Gary mixed with, Milo. And I had to explain, yeah, this is Gary, it's from Ghana. And then that's what I have pictures. I can send it to you later so that you can show your viewers, and then that is what I was doing for 5 days. And then I had some money, all because I could speak French, you see. But aside that, other things that I do in my community, the Ghanaian community in France, is that I've put in place this system where this service where students who come to France, every year, I realize the difficulty, the challenges that they face. So I put in place this service where all the students that would come, they have to go on my website to reserve for a pickup, and then I will drive to the airport and pick them up for free. They have they are not under any obligation to pay anything. But then if they want to support me picking them up with something, then they can support. But then the goal is to eliminate that stress of arriving in a country, being a total stranger, not knowing where to pick the train, where to pick the bus, where to pick your flight to your next or your final destination, and then you are stranded at the airport. So I saw this problem, and I'm a community problem solver. So the moment I saw this, I'm like, okay, I'll just put in place this system where you let me know when you are coming and I'll pick you up for free. And then that is what I've been doing. I think this is the 3rd year that I've been doing this. So that is it. Aside that, I'm a musician. And then if you listen to my music, I'm on YouTube and all other platforms as Kwame Sucre. Kwame is Kuame. And then Sucre is Sucre. Well, there's supposed to be a Santogu, but then because YouTube doesn't accept, so it's just Kwame Sucre, but it's Kwame Sucre. Later, I'll tell you why I had this Kwame Sucre. Also because of French. My French teacher felt whenever I participated in something, the thing became more interesting. When I participated in group work, in the singing group, in drama, it became more interesting. So when I'm not part, then the whole class feel bored. They're like, hey, sugar boy, hey, Sucre, Sucre. And that's how I got the name Kwame Sucre. Yeah, so when I do music, if you listen to my music, I sing in French and I sing in English also. You see, one more thing that I would add, I've also had the opportunity to work with a radio station here in France. The radio station is for a Ghanaian, but there comes the barrier. The people who are listening, some are French. So there was the need to have people who can speak French and English and Twi. So I was the perfect candidate because I could speak both 3 languages so that the Ghanaians watching could hear the Twi. The students from other countries could hear the English, and then the French people, the natives, could also hear what we're talking about. So I have no qualification in a specific, well, teaching, yes, but I don't have a qualification in hotels or let me say tourism and hospitality. I don't have qualification in journalism, but the French certificate alone, the fact that I can speak French and English, it has made me qualify for all these positions that if right now you need whatever you want, I can be it because I have French, you see. So I often tell people that if you are a bilingual, you are everything. You are a doctor, you are a journalist, you are an interpreter, you are everything, you see. So this is how far the French has brought me, and then these are the opportunities I've had.
I really enjoyed listening to you. You are everything. Whatever we need you to be.
Everything, whatever you need me to be, just tell me.
And I think you mentioned that you had a travel lentil or you run a travel lentil or something like that. I don't know if I got it.
Yeah, I forgot. I am jack of all trades. Yeah, jack of all trades. Yeah, so I have this tourism service like travel and tour. What I do is, if you are coming to France, I have, well, there are two. I have Paris with Kwame. I'm on Instagram and everywhere as Paris with Kwame. And this time around, the Kwame is not with you, it's with a W, Kwame. Yeah. So Paris with Kwame is when you want to come to France and then you need someone who will take you around, who will take beautiful pictures of you in Paris, who will take you to all the tourist sites in Paris, you know. I didn't even add that I'm an Uber driver. With my car, I do Uber, you know, because Wednesdays we don't go to school, Saturdays, Sundays we don't go to school. So I'm like, hey, I have a car. What do I do with a car? So on Monday, Tuesdays, I'm a teacher. On Wednesday, I'm an Uber driver. On Sunday, I am a music leader at church. On Saturdays, I am a musician at a certain program. And also, let me add, I'm the ambassador for Tap Tap Send. Yeah, so if you hear Tap Tap Send, we use it to send money to Ghana. I know you've all heard of it, but I am the ambassador, the France ambassador for Tap Tap Send, or I'm the ambassador for Tap Tap Send France. You know, it means that I represent the Ghanaian community, you know, for Tap Tap Send. So any program in France that needs the services of Tap Tap Send, I handle them. If the customers have any issue, they call me or they call the office, but sometimes they get it through me so that it will move faster. And this is what I do. And I had all these opportunities because I can speak French. As Tap Tap Send ambassador, if you go to an event to talk about Tap Tap Send, you wouldn't speak only English. The people there are French, you know. So as I told you, I am everything. I am an ambassador, I am a teacher, I'm a driver, I am everything.
But that's an industrious young man, and
Yeah.
I keep telling people that at the moment you shouldn't consider French as a subject or as a language, but consider it as a skill because no matter the skills that you have, if you don't add French to it, there are some territories you cannot enter. So there are people like you who are equally skilled in all these things that you are doing. They can equally do it, but just because they cannot speak French, they don't have as much opportunities and as much open doors as you have. Because I mean, we have a lot of people who can do all these things that you are doing. But what sets you apart is the fact that you can speak French. So you're not only being beneficial to the English communities, you're also being beneficial to the Francophone communities as well. And that is the plus, that is the skill, that is the extra assets that French offers to anybody who interacts with it or who engages with it. Wow, I've really enjoyed this so much. I wish it wouldn't end, but we have to keep on wrapping it up. So my first wrap up question is that people say that the international languages are a threat to our local languages. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is a double-edged question that has a double-edged answer. So I think I'll tackle it from both angles, and then I'll say what I really believe in. So I think when they say it's a threat, it's because I think many of us, when we start learning these foreign languages, we forget our local languages. We don't speak them right now. We have so many, let me say, we have so many institutions in Ghana that I would say they have switched totally to English, you know, and then the local languages are lagging behind. So I think that is where the angle is coming from. So from a community point of view, I would say that in as much as we try to learn foreign languages, we should also learn our local languages. Yeah, there are many of us who can speak English very well, speak probably French very well, and so we have to speak our own dialects. Nzema, Chi, Ani, all these languages we have in Ghana. And then you realize that they say they are Ewe, but they can't speak Ewe, you see, but they can speak English very well. That is where the problem is. So we have to make that effort. But aside that, I also disagree with the fact that it's a total, that it's a threat to our local languages. I think learning foreign languages makes you understand how language works. You know, it doesn't only end at just speaking it. You realize how you get to have the opportunity to be able to compare two languages and know, okay, in some languages, when you say this, it means that. But the same intonation, when you say this, it means a different thing. Or with a different intonation in my language, it will mean this. When there are certain gestures that comes with, like, the culture that comes with the language, because the language is integrated in the culture. So, for example, French has taught me that when I say this, I don't mean come. But in Ghana, when you do this, if you do this to someone, they will come. When you do this, they would come. But then in French, or the French culture, this actually means like hello or cuckoo. Why is this means come? You see, but it is not the same thing. So all these things, it's an opportunity to learn. Oh, okay, this is a different way of life of a certain group of people, and then this is how we live. This is how this means in French, and this is how it means in English. So all these are things, like opportunities that learning international languages exposes you to, makes you discover. So I don't agree that they are a complete threat unless we are not making efforts to keep, our local languages in the race. They have to be in the race. We have to make the same efforts that we put in learning different languages or foreign languages. We put those same efforts in learning our local languages. And then when it comes to passing the culture on to to the next generation, we also have to make sure that we pass the local languages to them. Yeah, I've seen people say, or let me say, especially sometimes they tag people living in the cities. Let me say Accra, that you have to speak English, or you have to. So we say the Accra babies, or let me say the Accra kids, they are all about English in private school English, but they have to also learn the Gan, they have to learn the Twi, because all these are also important. What is surprising is that in my experience as a teacher here in France, there is a week called Semaine des langues, la semaine des langues. Dans la semaine des langues, we have to expose the kids to different languages. So it was an instruction that I teach my kids how to speak Twi. And then we had to use whatever I'll teach them to bake this, we call it bofruit. I don't know if that's the right name, or if it is beef loaf or bofruit. But then if I say bofruit, you know what I mean. Yeah. So the whole thing was, I had to teach my kids, okay, the ingredients. I don't know if I have the video, but you would see French kids saying, "We ye kosia, we ye isam, we ye enchine, we ye atre," and then they be like, "Me bo kosia no," and then
To find it, locate it, and send it.
yeah, I will definitely find it. And then they were saying that, I taught them, okay, me boko siano, oh, me de inchini gumu fa, debe sichiri gumu, kamu. Oh, so they were doing all that, and then they were speaking it. And then when it got to the education ministry, as in here in France, and then they were like, whoa, who is that teacher? And how did he get the kids to learn all these things? And then, so the kids are speaking a totally different language. They are speaking Twi from Ghana. And then that was one way I made our Twi very popular, So imagine they asked me to teach my kids something in a different dialect, in my local dialect. And then I couldn't. But then I've made all these efforts to learn their language. And then I cannot teach them my language. That would be a shame, So it's not a total threat to these languages unless we make them, the moment we forget our languages, then it becomes a threat.
Yeah. And
I hope I've answered.
Personally, that's what I like about France, because France really, they allow you to bring your culture where they are. I don't know if it's just in the educational system, but when I went to France, I always say that France actually made me take pride in my culture the more, because when I started presenting, like talking about Ghana in the classroom, our presentations were in French, and I'm talking about my culture and all of that. So I realized that actually, when we learn French, we're not just learning French. We can also use the French, as a medium to project our own culture to the Francophone people as well. Yeah, so that is all that he has said, and I'm very, very grateful. please, since you are so secret and you have brought us some secret, kindly tell us where we will find you apart from this interview. If we're looking for you online, we need to find you and get our life secret. So tell us everywhere that we can locate you.
Okay. So on Facebook, my name here, as you can see on the screen, Michael Akainyah. That is my name. So you can write it down and then you can search me up on Facebook. On Facebook, I'm there as Michael Akainyah. On LinkedIn, you also find Michael Akainyah. I think all these, I put only professional stuff there. Then if you want to see about daily life in France, some of the things I do in France and all, then you can see on Instagram, Kwame Sucre. The Kwame is Kuame. Yeah, and then the Sucre, Sucre on Instagram. And then on TikTok, yeah, Kwame Sucre on TikTok also. And aside that, I think if you go to these ones, you would see my other businesses like Paris with Kwame and all, because yeah, I have reshared some of the things I do. So as I said, Paris with Kwame, taking people around Paris. And then I also have the trip circuit where
Paris with Kwame, and also we are very interested. I know there are some Ghanaians who will be very interested. So that
yeah,
one, please mention it properly. That one is
okay. Yeah, so Paris with Kwame, as I said, I take people around Paris. I take beautiful pictures of them. I know every corner of Paris after being here for 6 years. I know every corner. So if you're coming to Paris and then you don't know where to visit, you don't know, you have zero knowledge. Just get your visa and tell me, Paris with Kwame, I am coming to Paris. Now I want you to find a place where I'll sleep, what I will do, the activities, everything. And then leave the rest to me. I would take you around Paris. I'll find you if you want to be in a hotel, if you want to be in an apartment, whatever. If you want to play some activities or do some activities in Paris in the morning, at night, leave everything to me. So it's Paris with Kwame all together. There is no space. Paris with Kwame. Kwame, Kwame. And I am like Paris with Kwame. It's on TikTok and then it's on Instagram. Yeah. Aside that, the last thing is trip circuits. So trip circuits altogether, that is not a Paris something. That is different countries. So I realized that when you have a French visa, the visa is, extended to the Schengen area. So even though France has given you a visa, you can go to Belgium, you can go to Germany, you can go to Amsterdam, you can go to Italy, you can go to Switzerland, you can go to Greece, you can go so many places. So what I do is, if you reserve on Trip Circuit on Instagram, Trip Circuit, I'll take you on a trip for you to see all these countries in 2 days for a very affordable amount. So you can search either Paris with Kwame or Trip Circuit, depending on what you want. If you want just Paris, then it's fine. Then if you want me to take you to all these European countries I've mentioned, then you go with Trip Circuit.
All right, this is great. I love your business ideas. All right, so before we end this interview avant de terminer, est-ce que vous avez des conseils pour les spectateurs?
Oui, alors, en conseil, tout ce que je vais dire, c'est que quand on comprend ou quand on peut parler français, quand on est bilingue, on est tout. Quand on est bilingue, on est tout. Donc, ça commence par des erreurs, ça commence par une manque de confiance, mais après, sauf si vous êtes déterminé, vous êtes très sérieux avec le français, je vous le promets, hein, après, vous allez beaucoup améliorer. Vous pouvez devenir n'importe qui. Je sais pas ce que vous voulez, vous souhaitez devenir, mais imaginons s'il y a 2 CV, 2 curriculum vitae, et pour une personne, il est bien qualifié, ou la personne, elle est bien qualifiée, mais elle parle que l'anglais. Il y a d'autres personnes qui sont aussi qualifiées, mais elles parlent l'anglais et en plus français. Si vous êtes un employeur, parmi les 2 personnes, entre les 2 personnes, celui qui parle français et anglais et celui qui parle que l'anglais, mais les deux sont qualifiés. Vous allez employer qui? Vous allez employer qui? Donc, mettez ça dans vos têtes quand vous apprenez le français, que je veux être médecin, je veux être docteur, je veux être un enseignant, mais bilingue. C'est tout.
En anglais.
Okay, so all I'm trying to say is if you can speak French, you can become whatever you want to become. You can be everything. Yeah. So the French language is not only an additional language that you add. It's not only the skill of, you don't only get the skill of being able to speak English and French, but also the French language has now become an asset that all the companies that we have now, all the institutions are looking out for. Being in Ghana, being surrounded by 4 countries, you cannot live your life not adding French to the languages you speak. Add it, make it part of you. And then I cited an example that something I want you to put in your head or like keep here is if you are an employer or a business owner and then you have to employ 2 people and then 2 of these people are qualified, they both have the same qualification, but then on their CV, one has stated that he can speak French and English, and then one has stated that he can speak English only, but they are both qualified for the same position. Who are you going to employ? For me, I would employ the person who is bilingual because I may have customers, I may have clients who may not speak English, but then that person might win me, a very good client or make me some good business. So being a bilingual, make it a point that, yes, I want to be a doctor. Yes, I want to be a politician. Yes, I want to be a military person. Yes, I want to be, I want to be a nurse. I want to be whatever I want to be. But I want to be this person and a bilingual. I want to be a doctor and a bilingual. I want to be a politician and then a bilingual. And then you see the difference when you find yourself in a place where they are saying, oh, let's make this man represent us because he can speak French and English. Let's make this woman or this lady represent us because he can speak French and English. Then you would understand, how important French is. That's my advice for you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. We've learned a lot. I've enjoyed this so much. You brought us sucre. Yeah, sucre because you brought us a lot of sucre. And I'm very sure that the spectators, the viewers have also enjoyed and learned a lot. So viewers, if you are watching me, please subscribe to this channel. On this channel, we are all about the promotion of the French language and how to get or how to access opportunities with the French language. If you lack confidence in French and you want to be motivated, you have to look through this channel. There's so many videos for children, for adults. There are interviews with so many people who are doing a lot with the French language. So if you really want to be encouraged, if you want to build your confidence in speaking French, this channel should not be missed. And look out for me on Facebook and on Instagram. The name is Wilhemina Darkwah. Wilhemina Darkwah, and my business name is Achievers Success Hub. Achievers Success Hub will also be found on Instagram and Facebook. And then on LinkedIn, my name is Wilhemina Darkwah. I also have a WhatsApp channel. If you want to join the WhatsApp channel, you can connect. I am in Takoradi. Yes, I talk about Takoradi a lot because I love the city. I was born here. I grew up here, and I have a lot of passion for the city. I believe that this city has a lot that people should come and connect with us, build businesses with us. So I'm building a community of French speakers right here in Takoradi. If you want to be a part of it, please, you also stay in touch. The numbers are right down here, or just connect on the social media channels and then we'll add you to the community. All right, so merci beaucoup d'être venu, Monsieur Akainyah. Je suis très contente de vous avoir accueilli et j'ai bien aimé notre discours aujourd'hui. J'espère vous revoir ou bien vous voir personnellement, physiquement un jour.
Oui, j'aimerais bien aussi. Je serai au Ghana, si Dieu le veut, en juillet. Ouais, je vais venir passer des vacances au Ghana. Donc, j'espère aussi qu'on va se voir, ouais, physiquement. Mais après, je veux remercier tout le monde. Merci, merci d'avoir m'appelé. Je suis très content d'être parmi vous. Et je reste toujours disponible. Si vous avez des questions, si vous avez des propositions, comme je vous ai déjà dit, je suis sur les réseaux sociaux comme Michael Akainyah ou Kwame Sucré ou Paris with Kwame ou Trip Secure, c'est comme vous voulez. Donc, n'hésitez pas à me contacter si vous avez des questions à poser.
D'accord. OK. Merci et au revoir tout le
Au
monde.
revoir.